Oh, found some animals here.
So those will be one of the biggest things that you're going to be starting to kind of hunt and kill to kind of get food going, aside from just foraging. Um, like I mentioned, everything that we're doing throughout the process of playing is actually contributing to an individual player skill. Not only do we have talent systems, but each player's skill actually offers you a specific benefit. So if you went into the talents screen,
Hmm.
went to a specific talent group and went and hovered over these skills, you'll see archery. It'll be like earn points by hitting AI with arrows. Current level has 100% bow damage, but it's something that you can work your way up to like 200% bow damage. So it's using that investment in order to have a payoff and kind of be able to have benefits from playing in a certain way.
Oh, that's really nice because one of the things I've noticed in survival games, like for example, Conan Exiles, is that you can, or Ark, you can basically, let's say, spend all the time building and leveling up and spending your time in the base. But what I think personally, what I would prefer is that when you, for example, hunt enemies, you increase your hunting skills. If you build stuff, then increase your building things, and basically you level up in a certain tier of profession. So it's not like you spend all the time doing the same thing and you level up your character, but your level increases based on the activity that you're doing, which is kind of thing I was missing in many survival games.
Oh, definitely. And it's something that I'm a huge Ark and Conan player as well. And it was like, why didn't they add those in? Because it's like it makes you feel like you're working towards certain goals as a player, and being
Yeah.
able to choose the direction you take, in my opinion, was missing from other survival games. So I'm glad that's something that we implemented. It's going to be something that we tweak and kind of balance based on both player feedback and how we want the direction to go of the game. But
Yeah.
definitely excited that it's not just like a simple system where it's like, oh, this is what you're offered. Um, there's not much investment in certain things. It's like the same for every player. I kind of like having that choice and being able to see rewards from investing my time in specific skills. I will make sure we all have sufficient weapons to be able to go around.
Guessing these bow and arrows aren't doing the job then?
They'll be good for the start, but eventually we're going to work our way up through higher tier, and we'll be able to kind of show you what else we have to offer.
Something I noticed in the inventory as well, there is a wetness meter which stays full, but there's also a toxicity and shock. There's going to be
Yep.
like different weather effects that you can get messed
So
over by.
Yep. So there's going to be temperature will eventually affect. Right now it doesn't, but it will affect certain things. So you will need to equip certain items to kind of lower or raise the temperature of the player. That way to kind of make sure you're not getting any of the negative effects of the environment. Shock, we have plans for shock that are coming in, but toxicity itself is in right now. So I can see you guys shooting, but toxicity is something that we're gonna actually encounter very soon here when we're going throughout the world. There is a specific enemy that contributes to our toxicity. Outside of that, if you were to kill me and harvest my body and eat my raw meat, you would actually gain toxicity. So you can't just go around killing players and eating their meat. You need to cook it. Do we all have homemade bows or?
Yep.
Okay.
The bows feel pretty good. Don't know how to really describe it, but like the drop off seems to be pretty good. The aiming, pretty nice.
Yep, I'm a huge fan of it too. When I first started, I was not good at it. I've gotten definitely better, but as we're going through, you'll notice with each weapon that we have, you'll kind of feel the power and progression of each thing. There are some ongoing balancing things that we're doing with weapons, and a lot of polish is going to be coming in with not only combat weapons, weapon animations, and stuff like that coming in really soon.
I've noticed that the bow has no crosshair, you know. So we basically aim by looking at the top of the arrow.
Yep.
That is what it seems like.
And then accommodating for drop off.
Maybe I am a bit worse than I thought at this.
Look at that.
Oh, what was
The
that?
streamer.
Yep. So this is where actually this is a lot more people than I was actually expecting. But what we just encountered was a screamer. So when she screams, she actually aggroes mutants to the area. So if we would have encountered these mutants by themselves at first, we would have actually been in better shape.
Ooh.
But she just pulled everything towards us, so definitely a lot more challenging.
Also some ranged guys, I see.
Oh.
I think there's multiple screamers too.
Oh, there's 2 screamers. So let's take out one. I was like, oh, we'll take it easy in the easy area. And
Yeah.
Yeah, totally
It
easy
started
area.
easy.
diving right into the action. Yep. So the ones you need to worry the most about, actually, aside from the screamer, is the trophy collector. Those are the ones that are throwing the decomposing heads that actually produce those poison clouds.
I thought they were rocks.
If you actually look up a little closer, you'll actually be able to see.
Yeah, I couldn't really look that well because
Whoa,
there was a bunch of
headshot.
guys there. Quite a big change from going for some base building and then suddenly.
Oh yeah, I wanted
fighting a
to
horde.
drop you guys right into the action. So when you're shooting them, what we want to do is go up to their body, go hit tab to see the inventory. You'll see ground loot on the right bottom corner. You can double click the arrows to kind of pick them up. Other than that, what we want to do is, while we're going throughout the world, we want to make sure we're looting every body. The mutants have rye, which is a currency that is used not only to make one of our rare resources in the game, but it's also used at the vendors. You'll also notice I equipped a torch. One of the most important things to do in this area, or whenever you're venturing out into other parts of Maui, is making sure that you're cleaning up the dead bodies. So whether you scavenge them or light them on fire, the reason being is if you don't, and cannibals will start to be attracted to the area, they'll start consuming the corpses, and they'll have a buff and be more powerful, so they become a bigger threat, and they move faster, so it's actually kind of unnerving.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
But also a new addition too, as well as so we've added both mutant leather and mutant meat. Right now, if you start harvesting the mutants, I think I got all that from them. Start harvesting the mutants, you'll get mutant meat, and you'll get mutant leather. Mutant leather is used as a resource that you need to take into consideration for upgrading your totem past a certain level.
So how many players can we expect to find on the server?
So our goal for early access is to get 500 concurrent players per server. So this will be per game world. So what you see when you open up the map, it's going to be spread out throughout this map.
Wow, 500.
Yep. I mean, it's ambitious, but a lot of the stuff that, a lot of the challenges that I was speaking to earlier in the stream was kind of making sure that we're preparing our systems to kind of be able to support that as well. So not only just supporting that many players and having persistence stable, but also incorporating veil travel into the system to allow people to move back and forth. But we'll be looking at other ways to kind of have players focused on very specific areas so that they're not all just kind of incorporated into one area. I know we've looked at some smaller things. It's like making sure that when you're going into the Thorcon, this is something that you've seen on Atlas, or I think even Arc as well. It's like bodies just everywhere. Thorcons and other safe zones, what'll happen is those will actually, when you log out, your body is not shown. It's not rendered, meaning that the nice thing is like, I'm not sure if we ran into it earlier, but if I logged out here right now, what would happen is my body would stay here. If I'm outside of the Thorcon, I can be looted by other players. So even though it is a PvE zone, I do need to make sure that I'm in a place where my loot is safe. But when you log out in the Thorcon, your body's not visible to other players. It's not being rendered in, so you don't have that performance issue of like 1,000 players' bodies accumulating in Thorcon, blocking kind of like the beauty of the place.
Imagine crashing out of the game immediately because of that as well.
I don't even know the survival game that supports that many people in one world. Like I think Arc supports, I don't know, maybe 100 or something like that.
I think from what I can remember, Rust came pretty close, depending on their server infrastructure of certain unofficial servers. I think Arc, the most I've seen, has been 150. But a lot of work has been put in to kind of ensure that we're getting there. And our last stress test for that, specifically with a bunch of live players, I think we hit over 200. So I think it was like 250, 270, something along those lines.
And how are you planning to deal with a structure lag, which is, for example, in Arc was pretty obvious to this day? Like if players, you know, these hundreds of players start building their bases and the map becomes so full of that.
So that'll be something that we're addressing iteratively, like making sure that we're constantly optimizing our construction system and level streaming system to be able to support that. We have done quite a good job of doing that up to date, but just kind of making sure that we're constantly going in and kind of pushing that system in a way to make sure that we can kind of reduce a lot of those issues that Arc and other survival games had is going to be pretty important leading up to early access and beyond. I came from Arc. I have over 7,000 hours in that game, so I can definitely attest to how difficult it was, especially on release. But thankfully, with like engine upgrades and kind of optimization techniques, and a lot of kind of core foundational work put into the systems that we have here, definitely confident in being able to kind of address and alleviate a lot of those issues.
What other interesting survival elements do you have or planning to implement other than hunger and thirst? You know, these basic ones in survival games.
So there's going to be quite a few kind of survival elements, kind of expanding on those, kind of specific to adding in a little bit more gameplay features that affect stuff that, so like the reliance on making sure that you're farming rare resources, turning them into other resources that allow you to kind of benefit not only the construction system, crafting, but also kind of player progression. I think the biggest one that we kind of alluded to as well is the making sure that we're expanding kind of more RPG elements into the survival genre in general. So tuning not only the player skills, attributes, and how you're able to kind of place your character on that in conjunction with talents, but also finding unique ways within the world that can affect kind of gameplay in general. We're working our way towards a system of actual like NPC settlements and having it so that a lot of investment on both PvE and PvP can be done through those settlements. So giving players access to certain things that they're able to do once they reach those and start contributing to the rebuilding of those settlements is going to be able to open us up to a lot more functionality and gameplay features that we haven't really seen in other survival games.